We are live. You're watching the Merged Marketing Podcast. You're listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast. And this is episode 183. And in this episode, we're talking about using first and zero party data to improve customer lifetime value. My guest with me today is Valentin Radu. Valentin, welcome to the show.
Hi there, and thanks a lot for having me today, Jason.
So excited to have Valentin on the show because I found out right before we got to speaking, he's in Bucharest and I'm going to be there next week. So he was able to offer me some amazing information on what I can do with my travels while I'm there. If anybody has any questions about Bucharest, he's your guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about Bucharest today. We're here to talk about zero-party data and first-party data. But before we get into that, Valentin, maybe give us a bit of background on your journey to get to where you are today.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a former ex-poor kid from Bucharest, Romania. Poverty allowed me to jump straight into the entrepreneurship. I've built 4 companies so far, and basically, the third company was an e-commerce company. We became the largest online car insurance player here in Romania, made the exit, learned a lot about how to craft better digital journeys and to improve things like conversion rate and customer lifetime value. And then I've decided to go on the global arena and to build a software as a service company called OmniConvert. We initially started as a conversion rate optimization tool to help people run A/B testing and do website personalization and surveys. And then we've decided to focus on customer lifetime value and collecting zero-party data and first-party data to improve customer lifetime value. So nowadays we have hundreds of companies using our technologies from all over the world. I'm writing a book about it, about customer lifetime value, because I'm obsessed with it. I think way too many marketers are relying on paid media and on acquisition rather on relying on a full life cycle marketing.
It's interesting. I think customer lifetime value is definitely something that is ignored by a lot of marketers because it doesn't have that immediate tangible value,
Yeah.
but it's super important. I find that if you can really understand customer lifetime value, then you can reverse engineer, you do your paid ads to generate that customer. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course. If you're not leveraging customer lifetime value, you're either overspending or underspending. So you're shooting in the dark because you don't know how much money you will get down the line from a newly acquired customer. So that means you are focusing on converting from the first transaction, which means that maybe there are a lot of untapped market sectors that you are not addressing properly.
100%. I find a lot of new customers that come to our agency or new clients that come to our agency from that first touch point typically do not have a long lifespan because their leash is very short. And I think this is apparent or relevant to any business out there, right? But if that client knows, likes, and trusts you before they decide to sign that dotted line, you have a much longer leash with them and a much longer lifespan with that client.
Yeah, it's you have a lot of bandwidth once you have more transactions down the line. And what it's a pity, Jason, is that we are not using this kind of data. I mean, on a theoretical level, everyone talks about lifetime value, yeah. But when it comes to applying those kind of principles, when it comes on leveraging the data that you collect about the customers, few are the companies that are doing their job properly here, and that's an untapped opportunity, taking into account that there is a jungle out there in the customer acquisition cost right now.
Let's first define what you mean by first-party data and zero-party data.
Yeah, for sure. So zero-party data means any kind of data that it's intentionally shared with you by the customer. So it can be an answer from on a survey, or it can be a rating on a quiz. So basically, based on what the customers are willing to share with you. The first-party data is things that you captured about the customers based on their transactions, for instance. So zero-party data can be something like I have a cat or a dog, and first-party data can be something like I have a customer that bought 5 times and the total lifetime value is $300, something like that. And blending those type of data, this type of data allows you to be way more relevant. So one thing that you need to understand is that third-party data is almost gone. I mean, you have like only 75% of the customers here in Europe are sharing, are allowing to be tracked. And then you have this problem with iOS 15 and whatever. So mainly zero and first party data is the way to go, because you are not relying on all sorts of third party companies to share this data with you. So third party data means data that you can get from Facebook, for instance.
Can you give a tangible example of where you have leveraged zero-party data and first-party data to bring success to a client?
Yeah, I can. I have a lot of examples. For instance, we helped through the jobs to be done methodology. So mainly what the audience needs to know, Jason, is that I'm completely obsessed about customer lifetime value. I've made a thing called the CVO Academy right here, right? So we are teaching these kind of things. I teamed up with a lot of heavy hitters from the e-commerce and email marketing arenas, and we built a program. And we had a client, one of our first clients. We applied a thing called the jobs to be done method to understand what's causing customers to buy, because it's one thing to look at them at the microscope and see things like quantitative data and looking at the web analytics, and it's another thing to have your best customers being interrogated, for 1.5 hours each, and to find out why they are buying what they are buying. And we have one of our first customers from the UK, a company called the Turmeric Co. And they are selling turmeric shots. And they thought that their customers are buying this for more energy because they are into sports and they are young people. With the jobs to be done method applied to their best customers, which we found through the first party data, like through the RFM segmentation, which stands for recency, frequency, monetary value. So you look at the best customers that they have, the ones that are loyal and buy over and over again. We've made these in-depth interviews, and we realized that 65% of their recurring revenue was coming from customers which were actually elder people that were experiencing joint pains, and they wanted the turmeric shots not to be able to have more energy and whatever. They were there because that was a pain reliever for them without the side effects of ibuprofen. So based on this type of insights, we collect this zero-party data with surveys to understand what's causing you to be on the website today. And they had these options like I want to get rid of the pain, I want to have more energy, immunity, and whatever. And based on that, they've crafted different email marketing sequences based on that, because you can convert more customers because you are more relevant with the remarketing and with the landing pages. And also you can onboard the customers better, telling them, hey, in order to get rid of the pain, you need to take the shots for at least 6 weeks. And your follow-up emails and the package inserts are way more relevant if you take into account zero and first-party data. And that's one of the stories. Of course, we have plenty of stories with plenty of customers, which are
I love that example. I think it's a great example because, I mean, a lot of people think they know their customers or the journey that they're on when they really have no idea. Case in point right there, right? Like giving them that information totally rejuvenated their entire process for getting that top of funnel client in the door. Right. And my question is, because I'm very curious on that 90-minute interrogation that you have with these clients to get this information. Tell us a bit about that process.
Yeah, so the jobs to be done method has been developed by Clayton Christensen, the Innovator's Dilemma, and Bob Mesta, which is one of our instructors in the CVO Academy, and a best-selling author. If you haven't heard about his book, The Demand Side Sales, you better take a note of that. So with the jobs to be done method, you start by asking the people which you are interviewing the initial questions regarding the context that they were in when they've when they've bought this product, because it's very important. The context is creating meaning for them. And then what you are doing is the first 20 to 30 minutes are just happy customers that are willing to share the fact that you are great, and they just want to sing praises to your way. But after that, after you understand what if you get a trip on the memory lane to understand their buying timeline, then you understand that it wasn't like an impulse buying. So people are not buying products, they are buying the progress that they are doing, and the products are like bridges from a not so cool reality to a better future reality. And with this type of interviews, you unveil when was the first thought and what kind of struggling moments, because there's always a struggle. So nobody's buying something because they have a desire. Even the vitamins are being perceived as painkillers for some of the customers, right? So for some people, they are so afraid about getting sick or whatever, that they buy the vitamins because they have they had this struggle maybe, and they want to avoid that. So with this, identifying the struggling moment is the crucial component on this interview. And it's by the book. If you're familiar with the Chris Voss interviewing method, you basically guide the customers through your questions so that they don't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you when was for them that they decided that they don't want a solution. For instance, we had another customer from Canada. They are selling weighted blankets. And with them, we've made these jobs to be done interviews, and they were thinking that they are selling the cuddling effect and nice Christmas gifts with their weighted blankets. And through the surveys, we've realized that, man, so there was a lady, I still remember that. So she was suffering from insomnia and she was getting sleeping pills and she got knocked out, but her husband was sick, so she couldn't afford to be knocked out during the night, because maybe her husband was needing her attention. So, and she was only waking up at 8 a.m. So if she got the pills, so she needed a solution to be able to sleep, but to be able also to wake up if something happened around her. So the weighted blanket was something that it was allowing her to make this kind of progress. So that's how you do this type of interviews, and eventually you validate the jobs to be done with the quantitative data by doing this type of large scale surveys to validate which of the jobs to be done, because a product can have multiple jobs, which of those jobs to be done are the most economically viable. And then you know how much to bid on certain messaging angles, and you know how to build the creatives, the user-generated content, and so on.
Yeah, this is kind of top of mind. You're getting me thinking right now, because as I was in Staples yesterday, just browsing around for, actually I was buying envelopes, but I passed by the travel bag section because I need a new laptop bag. I didn't actually really need one, but I was thinking about it. What I was doing as I was searching at that, looking at that bag, I was visualizing myself. Are these compartments convenient for me? I have visualized myself in the airport with this bag, but I think a lot of marketers go to that degree of investigating to understand that mindset of that consumer prior to them purchasing, right? Yeah. And I'm wondering, can this be done through various paid ad top of funnel testing? What do you think?
Sure. That's the whole idea. So with this type of customer research, which is one of the most underrated marketing activities, you end up coming up with better ideas to test your ads and to see this type of engagement. Because with this type of customer interviews, you have customers actually literally writing the ads for you. Because if, for instance, it was a fireman, a guy which was retired, he was a fireman and he was after these turmeric shots, and he said something like, I want to have a normal life and I can't rely on my dear ones to get groceries. So basically beat that kind of ad, it's like, do you want a normal life? Are you done on relying on your dear ones to even do your groceries? The turmeric shots are for you. So that's the ad, right? I mean, how can you beat that as a marketer?
This, for me personally, this is the funnest part of marketing, is trying to figure this out and dissecting those psychological points that people make before purchasing. Don't spend enough time on it. Like, you living in this space, but definitely it's an important space to be in. So maybe talk about how you can attribute this type of research and investigation to increasing that customer lifetime value.
Yeah, of course. So once you know these type of things, you improve the acquisition. So you end up, for instance, the lifetime value per job to be done is way different. So for instance, you have 3 jobs to be done. One of them is giving you the impulse buyers, let's say the one-time buyers, which are there just to test out your solution for the energy and immunity side of things, right? And you also have the long-term customers. So if you understand what kind of lifetime value you can expect from a customer, then you budget accordingly. So you place your bets accordingly, and you can outbid your competitors on some messaging angles because you can afford doing that. And that means you acquire more quality customers rather than average customers. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is to remarket them differently, because knowing why they are buying, what's causing them to say today is the day that I'm going to buy again this kind of product, will allow you to do this relevant following up. So for instance, in the CVO methodology for customer value optimization, it's what you say, what you do, what you sell. Yeah, these are the three pillars. So knowing this allows you to craft a different customer journey, so different customer experience, allows you to improve the marketing and maybe to craft different kind of products, or to source different products, or to create different products around the main jobs to be done. So that's how you improve the lifetime value. And of course, we haven't got into the data and research and stuff like reporting lifetime value, because basically it all starts with that. You can't improve what you don't measure, right? So it's all starting with measuring lifetime value, but just measuring the average lifetime value is not enough. You need this type of customer research to understand who are your best customers by channel, by the job to be done, by the messaging angle, by the things like location or the products or the categories that they are buying. I can't hear you anymore.
This goes hand in hand with decreasing customer acquisition costs as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. It's all a matter of looking at the balance, looking at the ratio between CLV and customer acquisition costs. So while you can do this type of ahas, where you end up being way more economically efficient in acquiring customers, and maybe you pay more on the customer acquisition cost. But if the CLV justifies it, then you can afford to outbid everyone, because it's the good old Jeff Bezos that said that the one which is winning a market is the one that can afford to pay the most to acquire a customer. So mainly that's how it works, to focus on this type of research.
Valentin, explain a bit what you mean for those beginner marketers out there, or entrepreneurs that don't understand what you're talking about when you say bidding. Obviously, you know, when it comes to programmatic media buying, even Facebook ad platforms, there's bidding everywhere when it comes to advertising. Can you explain that a bit?
Yeah. So by bidding, I mean by investing, right? So how much you pay on a different channel, on another channel, or a certain creative, or a certain messaging angle, because it's all about how much can you afford to invest. And another important aspect is the customer acquisition cost payback. We talk a lot about it. So because the marketing is not like is not in vacuum. You need the finance, right? And the first rule in business is never run out of money. And this all sounds great, Valentin, but what can we do if the cash flow doesn't allow us to wait for 6 months to get the whole lifetime value back, to get the money back after we invested the $20 and the customers are paying only $15 and $25 in 6 months. So we are breaking even only in 6 months. So customer acquisition cost payback is also important, because you need to juggle with a lot of components at the same time. And as the market is way more competitive, we need to bridge marketing with finance. So, and we need to understand both of those concepts. And simply governing your company only through the P&L is not enough anymore. That's why you need this type of marketing and customer-centric models to play your game properly, the e-commerce game properly, or the business game properly, because it's applying in any kind of business model lifetime value.
Is there a duration of time that you recommend to have a sufficient duration of time to really look at the data and get a good sort of idea as to where the opportunities lie?
Yeah, so what's important is to look at the purchase frequency. So let's say you are selling coffee or tea. So here the purchase frequency is really fast, right? So the days between the transactions are pretty much in the range of 1-2 weeks, because you always need to stash again. I mean, but when you are selling things like fashion or electronics or wedding rings, if the divorce rate is not that high, in your country, that means you should be waiting forever to have repetitive buyers. But joke aside, what is important is to have at least 2 free average purchase cycles that you give as a grace period. So in order to understand that the customer is gone forever, you need to apply this RFM segmentation and to look at their recency score. So if they are in the last percentile of, let's say, 25, the last 25% of your customers, and the last 25% of the customers are buying only after 4 months, then that's when you say a customer is churned. So you focus all your attention in the first 4 months to persuade your customers to come back and buy again.
How has AI had an impact on customer lifetime value? Are you using it in your business at all? How has that impacted your business?
Yeah, so right now we are focusing on this in 2 ways. We have a component of our business called the customer experience, the NPS, right? Because it's the pillar of customer experience. So besides marketing and product, it's also how the customers are feeling. And we collect this data, and now we are about to release an NLP module, because we are finding the main topics of concern and of frustration for the customers based on their feedback. And with this type of feedback, we get back to the companies, and they know that they have an issue with the, I don't know, delivery time or package inserts or product quality for this category. So that's one thing that we are doing. And another thing that we are now exploring in the product is to build this type of segments instantly based on AI, because there are more data. There are the processing power of AI allowed us to do this real-time segmentation on many other aspects besides the RFM. So now we are contemplating, what if we could deliver the right message at the right time, which is being generated automatically to the customer based on their zero and first-party data. So I think that's where the market is going anyway, into this fully automated, real-time generated content based on the previous gathered data.
Valentin, this has been an awesome conversation. I love talking about this topic. It's time to get in touch.
Super. So I'm a LinkedIn person. If you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also go to theclvrevolution.com, because we're about to launch this book pretty soon. So you can read the first chapter of it, or you can pre-order it and get a lot of insights and tools that you can apply in your business from it.
Awesome. Valentin, we end every episode with the same question. That question is this: if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to represent your brand, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. So a person dead or alive. So I guess it's going to be Elvis Presley, because he's he's so persuasive, man, and he can rock the house pretty soon.
That's so crazy. I don't know how I knew you were going to say that, but I knew you were going to say that. I don't know why. Wow. Okay. Great minds think alike. All right. So Valentin, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Only fools rush in, right? So that's why you need lifetime value.
Awesome.